Hey guys, this episode of the Sabin Video Podcast is, of course, always brought to you with a huge thank you to the Joe Rogan Experience, the JRE. Joe Rogan, of course, runs his podcast on iTunes and Ustream. Please listen to him. He's a great, great guy. He's hilarious. He's the reason I started this podcast. I thank him at the beginning, as you probably noticed, of all of my podcasts. Also, I would like to send a huge thank you out to Zions. I am not sponsored by either of these companies. It's the best energy drink I drink. It's the only energy drink I drink. It is sugar-free, 0 calories. It is currently, what I read today is correct, they are still sponsors of the Ultimate Fighting Championship of the UFC. This is a special podcast. I will explain that here in just a sec. Today I am drinking blue cranberry, or blue pomegranate, or something like that, if I could read. I'm not very awake right now. I slept okay, just woke up and said screw it. It is currently 8:23 a.m. I will try to do another one of these a little later, and it'll be on the upcoming card for this weekend. Okay, like I said, this is a special podcast where I'm going to discuss something that I normally don't talk about. My book here. And let's crack this baby open. Alright, like I said, special podcast, I'm going to discuss video games. I do play. I'm a decent player. Depends on what kind of game you got me doing. If it's a football game, I'm kicking your ass. So, lately, of course, they announced a while back NFL is going to be coming out with another one, NFL 16, Madden 16. Not a huge fan of the cover, only because it's, okay, so to explain, they had their cover vote to see who would be on the cover. Of course, Odell Beckham Jr. won. Odell Beckham Jr., of course, is the guy from the Giants who has that crazy getting shoved catch behind him, beautiful one-handed grab. That's not on the cover. It's him catching a football. That is the dumbest thing you guys could have done. What it should be is him doing that crazy, because don't tell me somebody didn't take a picture of it. I know there's pictures of it because I can Google it right now and find a fucking picture of it. Where he's doing the crazy, you can see the front of his helmet and he's just grabbing the ball. That should have been the cover. But no, we'd rather go with something dumb. Kind of like you did with 15. I wasn't a huge fan of the cover. Sorry. But I don't really play 15 much. Really almost ever. Not only because it's the first Madden game I have for the one, but also because I don't like... Okay, so NCAA, college football, they had their own game through EA. NCAA 14 was the last one released. They're currently going through a feud. And so this past year, there wasn't a Madden. There wasn't an NCAA. There was a Madden. They didn't come out with one, so they just made up a bunch of people that you could draft. I don't like that. Here's why. I played NCAA 14, loved it. I love all the college games, actually, when it comes to football on a console. They're fun because I get to play with the guys that I like to use in college. I get to play as my favorite team, Notre Dame. That's not the only team I use. I play as other teams. But I liked that there was development. You could have a quarterback who's a senior, end his career, go to the NFL. You could draft your guys. I'll get into that in a second. But you could, recruit people. You could go after people. In 12, which is the only other one I own, you had to have calls with recruits, and you had to try and convince them to come to your college. In 14, the recruitment process is a little easier where you have points. Here's how many points I'm giving you. That means that I'm interested in having you here. And then you play, and based on their skill set, they can come visit after X number of points they've accumulated, or however you want to do it. And they'll come visit. And if you score high on the visiting, they can commit. Just very similar to 12, where, after so many calls and scholarships and promises, you could get them to come to your school. With 14, you could, well, actually it started in 2000 and it says it on 25 because I play 25 the most. Sorry, NCAA 14 and Madden 14. Because it was their 25th anniversary that they decided to call it Madden 25. There, that way you're not confused. For those who didn't know. Madden, I think it said it was in 99? Either 99 or 2000. You could draft players that you played with in college. The college formatted game. Which was awesome. So, like, right now, I'm still playing it. I play the crap out of this game, actually. A lot of friends who are friends with me on Xbox will notice that I play it all the time. This is the one game, probably the most played game on my 360. That and The Walking Dead are probably the top two games I played the most. The Walking Dead, of course, by Telltale, which I'm very hopeful they'll come out with a third chapter of that. I'll get to that in a second. I want to cover that. I didn't think of it until just now. That's how I do things. If I say something and I go, oh yeah, actually, hang on, let me write that down. Because you know me, I say shit, and then I end the podcast. And then when I listen to it after I've posted it because I'm dumb, I go, oh, I meant to cover that. Oh, I meant to say that too, and I didn't write it down. So, there. TWD by Telltale. Cover that shit. Okay. But you can, like right now, my draft class is 2015. Thank you to whoever, I gotta think, who did I get my roster from? Give me a second, because he's a fellow YouTuber. Tico Decory, thank you for uploading your 2015 NCAA players, if you will, draft class. It's fantastic. I've been using the crap out of it. I don't know how to do it, so I got to borrow it from people on YouTube. So instead of 14, where, I'd have to work with, which really wasn't that different. Okay, so I have a different one uploaded now from 14 instead of 15. I'll explain. There's some players that didn't show up because, they transferred or they showed up at Notre Dame from a different school of some kind. In 15... For example, okay, so the original 2014 class that I got with the names, I don't remember who I got that from. It was a long time ago, so I don't remember. Through roster share, which is a fantastic thing. I, of course, had T.J. Jones, DeVaris Daniels, but like Will Fuller didn't exist. They didn't know who that was. With 15, I have Will Fuller. I have, let me think of another school where somebody's big. Nope, he was in 14. Nope, he was in 14 too. Devin Funches. In 14, he's a tight end. In 15, he's a receiver. So, thank you very much. Tico Decory is his YouTube, I always say address. It's not address. It's his name. Thank you so much for uploading your NCAA roster share. I have your roster. It's fantastic. Of course, I've monkeyed with it a little bit. That's just what I do. I'm not stealing it. What I do is I go to Dynasty, and then I monkey with it a little bit. So I haven't actually monkeyed with the roster itself. It's only in my Dynasty that I monkey with it. Anyway. It's fantastic. Thank you a lot. I hope that's within the rights to use thingy. If you guys have NCAA 14 and you want to get a roster for this past year, that's a great one. Please use it. He's an awesome guy. Please view his video because I don't know what the name is. I wrote it down. That's how I remembered it. Because I lost all of my... Okay, so my Xbox freaked out and deleted a bunch of my stuff. It deleted both rosters. And because his name was easy to remember, I was able to come up with it. So please look at his video, come up with his roster. Okay, So the main reason I came on here, I just beat Far Cry 4. Good game, by the way. I have it for the 1. And it was a good game. I liked it. It was fun. Far Cry 3. Okay, so I have not played the originals. Far Cry. I gotta think. There was like 2 or 3 releases after Far Cry. It's simple, the first one, for the original Xbox, that I didn't play. I played 2. I thought 2 sucked. I stopped. I'm like 3 missions in, and I just, of course, and then that's probably going to be the big hit to that, is that, well, you had to go further than that. Well, I was just so confused as to what the hell I was trying to do that I stopped playing. Which is too bad, because Far Cry 3 is amazing. Far Cry 3, great game, very fun. You play as Jason Brody. You're dropped off on this island, well, you're with your friends, and you're trying to rescue them. It's very good. Please play it. Fun. But Far Cry 4 is very different from 3. 4, you're in, okay, it's a fictional country, but a lot of the places they name, like where it's supposed to be, which is really obvious, exist. Like you're in the Himalayas. Obviously, those exist. But you're in what's called Kirat. Kirat is a fictional country that is under turmoil in a big civil war between, okay, I'm going to say king because they refer to him as both king and dictator. So I'm going to go ahead and call him king. I think that's what he's actually referred to as, and then the people just don't like calling him King Min, and so they do something. Anyway, his name is Pagan Min. He's the main protagonist. Am I correct in that? Protagonist? I don't know, I always fuck that up. Anyway, he's the big asshole in the game. He's a very interesting story behind him. Again, I'm not going to tell you because I want you to play the game. It's really good. You can ride fucking elephants. There. That was released in the damn trailer, so you can do that. It's a skill you have to unlock, but that was one of the first things I unlocked because I wanted to fucking do that. It's pretty hard to kill you when you're on an elephant flipping cars over. It's fun. But anyway, Far Cry 4. So I beat that. I was just looking up some things for Far Cry 5. Which they haven't said when they're going to release it. They have said they will come out with Far Cry 5. And they released, again, I don't know if this is fake. I believe it's real. From what I've heard, it's real. They released a list of suggested places to go. Where they want the next setting to be for Far Cry 5. And I heard the list, I read the list, I saw the list. I saw I conquered a Vita Vice, which actually was a question on Jeopardy last night. Anyway, ADD. This is what happens when you have ADD. You just go off on tangents. But there were 2 suggestions that were named, and I watched a video. Again, I don't remember who. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube. I watch a lot of football games on YouTube too. So if you guys can put more full games on here, that would be fantastic. Anyway, back to what I mean to be talking about. Far Cry 5. So there were 2 huge settings that was mentioned that I thought would be fantastic. One actually gets hinted to in Far Cry 4. Yeah, 4. And that is Peru. And if I could figure out where I wrote the other one down. Of course, me being me. Vietnam. I put Nam on here. Now, of course, on the piece of paper, Peru is set now-ish and in the 80s. In between this timeline of this one, it's supposedly, what it says on the piece of paper, I think it's a dumb idea, with all the cocaine. Actually, they're kind of still doing that, so maybe you could set it to nowish. Oh, one of my chickens is coming to see me. She comes up the stairs. Hang on, you guys need to see this. Move my empty cans and crap. Hi, Elmo. Hi, sweet pea. Yeah, I have chickens. They're awesome. Anyway, back to Far Cry 5. So a big suggestion is, you can't come in here, right? I'm not letting you in. It's not happening. You're staying out there. Sorry. Uh, again, ADD. With Peru, you could do that with now, and of course with the cocaine. And the other one was Vietnam, which they thought, maybe you use. Great. Hang on. Alright, no more battery is low. Thank you. Battery at 10%. Of course, with the Peru thing, I was thinking you could use like a Tony Montana kind of character, someone who is, again, I say cocaine, you could use any drug, really. Kind of like they used with Pagan Min in the fourth one, where, he's more of a businessman. I mean, yeah, sure, he's got a bunch of people working for him, but he's more of the businessman, not nutty, very smart, very calculated kind of person who maybe has control over, let me think here, some type of town or something, something kind of like in Far Cry 3, where, okay, so the top two people in Far Cry 3 are Voss and Hoyt. Hoyt is a businessman, Voss is nutty. I say that because I realized I referenced him later in the Vietnam one. So Hoyt is a businessman, and he's smart and calculated, but they have just kind of this hold on the entire area. You could do that with the one in Peru, with more of a businessy, smart kind of person. Now, of course, with Nam, I was thinking if you decided to use Vietnam, again, you could do it today. Kind of a crazy nutbag, if you will. Kind of like a Colonel Kurtz, because I watched a snail crawl across a straight razor, and it was like I was shot with a diamond. Sorry, I had to quote it a little bit, because it's hard to not when you've mentioned it, because, well, it's Apocalypse Now. One of the best Vietnam movies ever made. But, someone kind of like that, where they're not exactly right in the head. Kind of like Voss, where he's not exactly right in the head, but you could make him a little smarter than Voss. I was thinking, smarter, a little more cunning, but crazy. It could be fun. Of course, there were other suggestions thrown out there. The other suggestions were just stupid. I'm sorry, but they were terrible. You could have it set in outer space. Are you trying to throw your franchise away? Or I thought you'd try and make more games. Stick with what you got. Keep it simple. 3 was so much fun and interesting because it was simple. Try not to get killed by the animals that are, by the way, going to try to kill you. Try to stay away from the pirates that are going to try and kill you and kill them. And try to save your friends. While also being involved in nuttiness of the culture that you have to get into in order to save your friends. The big thing that I commented on this guy's video, again, I don't remember who it was. I'm sorry. I wish I wrote down your name. I didn't. Was, Far Cry 3, the big scheme of Far Cry 3 was diving into insanity. Because the definition of insanity is the constant redoing of one action expecting a secondary or different outcome. Voss tells you that. Also, it's a basic understanding of what the definition of insanity is. That is the definition of insanity, by the way. But, diving into insanity and getting into the culture, because if you don't, you won't be able to save your friends. And that was what made it so good. It's what made it fun. Unlike in 4, where when you have to do this stuff with Shangri-La, it's a little... Alright, so... With 3, you are doing it to figure out the culture, to get into the culture so you can save your friends. Because if you don't, they're not going to help you because, well, you have to be this way. Because that's just how it is. In 4, Shangri-La is a little too... I don't know. I'm going to say fairyland. It's a little out there. It wasn't that it wasn't interesting. It was just hard as fuck. It was hard to understand. Couldn't really grasp what the fuck was going on. Supposedly you were supposed to be the character's dad, then you weren't the character's dad. You're trying to kill this guy. You're trying to figure out what's going on with this thing. It was just confusing. Now, of course, I played it over an extended period of time, not within like 3 days. So that might be why I was confused. But I was just overall confused with the idea. I'm sure it was great on paper, but the whole actual planning out didn't go so smoothly. Unlike in Far Cry 3, where it's explained. And, because you have to become crazy to save your friends, that's why it made sense. Great game. I can't say anything more about it. It is that good. Okay, because I know my computer's going to die and because I want to cover this without going on too many tangents, The Walking Dead by Telltale Games is one of the best games I've ever played. It is based more on the comic books than the graphic novels. I apologize. I'm reading it right now. That's why I wanted to correct myself. It's based more on the graphic novels than the show. The show, it's not that the show is bad. The graphic novel is just better. By a lot. The show's still good. I'm going to keep watching it. I'm waiting for it to come out soon. Of course, with Telltale Games, I have 2 chickens up here. Great. I wondered why you were making so much noise. You brought your friend. Anyway, with The Walking Dead by Telltale Games. Originally it came out, I could be wrong in this, but this is kind of how I felt with the first one, is that it was released to see what would happen. That's kind of how the first episode, they call them episodes, kind of felt like. It was released to see what would happen. Who's going to play it? Was it going to be played at all? And then it just went uphill in quality after that. Season 1, again, they come in seasons, is fantastic. You play as now I'm having trouble coming up with his name. Lee. I knew if I ran down the characters in my head, I'd come up with it. You play as Lee. Lee is a guy who's fantastic. You fall in love with the character almost instantly, which is what makes what happens to him that much sadder, I'll say. Spoiler alert, sorry. Something happens to him. It's amazing. And, of course, he's protecting a girl named Clementine. Clementine's who you play as in Season 2. She's a fantastic character. Love playing this game. Season 2 is still on the road trying to find safety, where you bump into some interesting characters. You bump into a character that you thought died in Season 1, which is fun. Now, there's theories on Season 3. They've already said they're going to release it. It's unsure if you're going to still play as Clementine. I think you should. Season 3, that you're either going to be in one of 2 places that happens, or sorry, one of 3 outcomes that happen due to Season 2. But it's said that there's a chance one of the characters from Season 1 that abandons you pops back up. And I think it'd be a good idea, because I think it'd just be interesting. So, allow me to explain. This entire game is based on your decisions, which is what makes it so good. One of the reasons. That, and because the storyline is just that good. One of the characters makes a poor decision, and you have to choose whether or not you keep her or let her go. Just, make her leave the group. I usually choose... Last time I played it, I chose that she leave the group, and it's unclear whether or not she dies. If you choose to let her stay with you, she steals your car and leaves you for dead. Again, unclear if she's dead. They never say. Several characters, actually, I should think, that they never really say if they're dead or not. They're just gone. Like in Season 2, the person you're traveling with. It's unclear. Is she dead or is she just gone? So, hopefully they bring them back. It's a great game. Please play it. It's fantastic. You do have to buy the episodes. Right now I'm playing same company, Telltale, their Game of Thrones game, which is amazing. Please play that as well. That's pretty much it. Not much else is really going on. Like I said, I'll do one later tonight with the UFC card that's this Saturday. Weigh-ins are today. And that's pretty much it. So please, like I said, this was a special thing. I just wanted to see what would happen. Still unsure if I'll cover this very often. I don't see why not. As always, thank you to Joe Rogan and the JRE, Joe Rogan Experience. He's available on YouTube, Ustream, old episodes I put on YouTube, and iTunes. Also, huge thanks to Science, the most delicious energy drink you will ever drink. I'm not sponsored by either of these companies. I'm not sponsored by any of the video games either. You guys have yourselves a fantastic day, and I hopefully will see you later this evening. Bye.